Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the History of Fan Anime. I'm your host, William Chow. In today's episode, I'm going to do another reaction video on various videos that I have come across the the internet, and the topic is why women hate guys who play video games. And what's the whole issue with that? So this is sort of my reaction and sort of my personal experience with that, and some examples and that kind of stuff with that. So before I begin, I'd like to remind everyone to go down below, click like, and click subscribe. I mean, any comments about what happens in your situation, or any sort of experience that you've had, by all means, put it in the comments. And again, if you want to just support the video, just press the like. It definitely does help the YouTube algorithm. For any of those people who are wish to support me, there's the super thanks button as well as the Patreon and PayPal links. I have just recently updated all the Patreon links. So again, if you go to the folder of all the files pertaining to this channel, including the episode listings of both the regular episodes and the Patreon episodes, as well as the database of all the best videos, both OVAs, movies, and TV shows for the 1980s. That entire Excel sheet is all available on in the directory. So again, do look at the link below, and you can just download those yourself and have a view at them yourself. Again, new videos and that kind of stuff. I've now put in a lot of my interviews and that kind of stuff that I've done with other YouTube content creators. Again, that's really important because a lot of these things are no longer available on the internet. So actually, I was going through my list of different things I've done interviews for and whatnot, and I've gone and look on some people's pages, and the interview's gone. So some of the information there is not available on YouTube anymore, and now I've made it available on my Patreon. Do check that out. So if you're again looking for more interesting stories, more content, some of the interviews, some of the questions that they interviewers ask me, they give you a different perspective. So again, do check that out, and they do check out my Patreon, because I am resorting that out and making that things better. I'm also putting all the because Patreon has a horrible way of sorting out the way that the content comes off of the off the page for like videos and that kind of stuff, and content from that. I'm now making a separate section on my website, which will keep track of all the stuff for the novels and ebooks and the videos I'm making for that. Again, for those people who who go to the Patreon, even on the buy me a Coke tier, okay, you have access to all 4 ebooks that I've written, including the audio version, the ebook reading version, the I've now made video versions, which is both slideshow and kind of a double slideshow, kind of the NSFW versions. Okay, those are now all available to all the to any tier of the paid Patreon levels there. So again, if you have that and you are on the Patreon, or you wish to become a Patreon, that is definitely worth your $3 or $5. So definitely do download those and do have a look at those for yourself. I'm in the current process of making an actual full running video version of the ebooks as well. So I mean, I'm slowly getting to a point where we can almost animate the ebook. Okay, so or at least make it sort of a visual graphic novel kind of thing, right? So just more than just a static audio book. So again, all that is available right now. So again, do check the links below, and do check that out, because I said again, those are for you. Okay, so anyway, so that's kind of a long introduction, so we get into today's video topic, which is all about video games. Now, so of course, what has happened is that here I am. I'm updating all the links, right? And pulling content from interviews and that kind of stuff that I've done with other content creators. And of course, up comes the video that I did with the Happy Console Gamer. Okay, so again, when I was doing the initial interview with Johnny, when we're talking about anime, and then we started talking about video games, and then after the video game one, we kind of this is around the time where Johnny got married, and and we just kind of realized that here we are. We were both avid gamers and that kind of stuff in our time, but we managed to, like I said, meet someone and and get married to those people. And even though with our video game sort of nerdiness and in my case, obviously a lot of anime nerdiness and that kind of stuff, we still managed to find something that was someone who's very compatible. And and we just wanted to talk about the stigmatism of how back then it's like you like anime, you must be some sort of weirdo nerd, you only like hentai, or this kind of really bad sort of a stigmatism that was attached to anime back then. And so we made an episode about how anime and gamers get married and that kind of stuff. And so so it was obviously Johnny and Kim have their whole entire story of that. So anyway, while I pulled up that video and managed to to get it, and again it's available on the internet, so again you can look it up or you can go to the Patreon, and I have a link for that as well already there. But for those people who don't, it is available on the Happy Console Gamer site, and he does lots of videos with Kim on that, right? So I found all these videos that are kind of the opposite, right? So obviously a lot of women, not very happy when us guys play our video games and that kind of stuff. And so I want to make our sort of a reaction video of some of the some of the videos that I've found and whatnot, and interject my personal story, and also be able to bring up some photos and some my own personal sort of status and that kind of stuff with that kind of that kind of concept. I think you'll find that kind of interesting because it's not my normal type of thing. But again, when we're talking about anime and game culture, this is the huge shift that in nowadays it's kind of even though it's become more acceptable, we still have this negativity towards people who like anime or who likes video games. And so I'm just going to go kind of get into it, from my perspective, and maybe it's probably pretty much the same as yours. So anyway, without further delay, okay, sorry about the huge introduction, but yeah, let's get this this video started, and let's go into some different videos and my reaction to them. All right, so without further delay, let's begin.
But the whole gaming thing...
What's the problem? Jacqueline has this big problem, too. Because...
It's just lazy. It feels... like, unless you're getting paid... And there's a line, right? Like, it's cool if you want to do it every so often. But to me, I'm like... Go educate. Like, go do something productive.
But what is the problem? Like, Jacqueline has a big problem with it, too. Whenever she hears the PlayStation start up. Like, I gotta hear the huffing and puffing.
Yeah.
But if I were to just have TV on, you'd be on TikTok as it is, not paying attention.
It's not that,
so why does it bother you?
Because it's not the distraction of me being on TikTok and us watching TV. It's what you could be doing with that time.
There it is, and that's it. I knew it. I knew it. You women want to task us bad.
No.
That you're so pissed that we're taking time from doing something.
No.
Wait a minute, you're enjoying things? You have time to do this video game?
Here's the thing.
Here's all the things you could be doing.
Here's the thing, you're enjoying it. But you could also be planning something nice for us. Like...
I like how she goes and says, go read a book or something. But, in many ways, these, interactive, immersive, games and that kind of stuff, half the reason why I play a lot of these games and I just love it is the story. I mean... the entire, that's why I like Halo, the entire Halo universe. It's just so, I was playing the game because I wanted to go for the story. No, sure, the game's, first person, whatever, right? But for the most part, I was really interested in going chapter by chapter to find out how the story evolved, right? And, and I can say the same thing with Mass Effect. I can say the same thing with, StarCraft 2, the whole, I was really fascinated with the whole Queen of Blades story and all that kind of stuff. I mean, who cares about the gameplay per se? Because as I said, first-person shooters are not really my thing anyway. But, I wanted to do that to get to the story. I can also say, such great stories, came out of games like The Last of Us, Red Dead Redemption, Uncharted, Horizon. These are really beautifully written stories, right? and the fact that you have to immerse yourself in the game and actually play through different scenarios, it actually has more participation and interaction and more connection to the actual story than just reading a plain book. Like, for example, me going out and buying some of those random novels of like various people for Halo. This is way more participatory and more immersive than actually those. So in many ways, that is our form of entertainment, right?
Let your man play video games, because a lot of y'all be hating for no reason, and y'all taking it way too serious than you actually need to. Let me put it in perspective for you, right? You love makeup. As a little girl, you grew up playing with the Barbie dream houses and the Corvettes and all of that, so you kind of grow up and you do the same thing. You decorate your house. You do the Barbie decoration. You like to wear makeup, jewelry, paint your nails. There's a lot of different trinkets that you can play with, right? It keeps you in that young mindset. It lets you tap into the child that's inside of you that never went anywhere, and you don't let your man tap into his own child, as if we're not supposed to have one and you are. If you want your man to show his happiness and some of that childlike quality and energy inside of him, let him play his game.
I let him play his game.
Let him be a kid.
I do. So if he tells any of you guys that game with him that are watching, he's lying. I let him play his game.
She let him play. She let him play.
Let him play. Honestly though, he's a busy guy. When I do see him on his game, I'm like, it makes me happy. I really do care about like your mind. And so when I know you're playing your games, I'm like, I love it. Here's the deal. If your dude ain't taking care of his business though, like if he's just out here just dirty, ain't washed his ass, he's missing work, he's not sleeping. I'm not talking about those situations, but like he's a grown ass man, he's providing, he's not doing nothing wrong. Let him have his little break.
Interesting point that women do spend a lot of time doing makeup and that kind of stuff, and sure, when you're at the in the sort of the dating stage or the meeting stage, and you want to make sure that your presentation is the best. I get it, right? But then I think in many cases now, especially with the the Instagram and social media presence and that kind of stuff, I think a lot of women overdo it initially, right? And it's almost to the point where they're using filters and even using AI to render them in a better form and that kind of stuff. And I can see where guys when they actually meet these people in real life, they're going, holy crap! The picture that like you don't match the picture that's on the internet, because the pictures that they have on Instagram are so perfectly curated, right? All like AI has removed all the the flaws that are naturally in a person, that kind of stuff. So that that's where it gets to a point where the use of makeup and that kind of stuff is warping their true sense of reality so much that you're literally bringing that that fantasy, that look into the real world, because that's not you. Right? It's you're trying to be somebody else. Literally, like shall we say, extreme cosplaying almost, right? But us with the video games, sure, we know that when we turn the game off, when we put that controller down, we're going back to reality, right? This is we're back to our job, back to our chores and tasks, and things that we have to take care of. Whereas women will almost never step out of the house without putting the makeup on. So who's living in delusion land as it is, right? And I get it, right? I mean, sure, first impressions and that kind of stuff are important, but then I said, when you're already sort of married and that kind of stuff, your husband doesn't need to see all this stuff. You already got him. So what's with all the nails and the fake hair and all that other stuff, right? Because you already got him already, right? He's yours. He knows what you look like. What are you doing all this other stuff for? Oh, it's because it's for all the to show off to the other women, to show off to your internet people, for Instagram pictures and that kind of stuff. Really trying to extend your fantasy into real life. So who is more delusional?
Well, I do know some men where it's just like you are paying attention on that game, talking to them people, arguing with them people, and you could be in my face. It is some men that needs to give their woman more attention, but it's just like the game it just irritates me.
But men are stressed out. They come home, they want to play the game. It's freedom.
But why, as a grown man, do you want to come home and play with a controller? I got something.
You don't play video. You don't. You know what? I'm mad now. I'm upset. A man, this is like his only time of like having complete freedom and something to escape reality for 20 minutes, and you're trying to take it away from him.
You're not doing all that with that video game.
Yeah, you are. You get to enter
reality.
Yeah.
They got niggas making on the games, little avatars. Like, nigga, what you want to look like? Who the is this? Who the is this? No, the avatar. Who the is that? Like, you know what I'm saying? That's not you. Yeah. What you got going on here?
Okay, so the first ironic point I'm going to point out is look at the length of her nails, right? I mean, so if she's got a man and that kind of stuff and whatnot, and like, you know, men don't like this kind of stuff, right? We don't need you to doll yourself up with like tons and tons of makeup. We don't need all your fake nails, fake hair, lip injections, butt injections, and whatever, and implants and whatnot. I mean, for the main purpose that women do this kind of stuff is for self vanity, right? I mean, guys don't like that kind of stuff, and prefer them all natural. Other thing is that if you got nails that long, you can't do dick with it, right? Like, try to chop onions or celery or take down something with on a cutting board, right? Can't do it with those things. You can't mend things like sew or mend a pocket or fix a seam. Can't do it with those things with nails that long, right? Let's say you're trying to just like batter chicken up or something like that, or like knead some bread down to make like dumplings or buns or something like that. You can't do it with those kind of nails. So like, what the hell? Like, you're doing like that's like non-useful kind of stuff, right? So obviously, that's a big turn off. But their second point is that I mean, guys, can do avatars one way, right, or two ways, right? You can either try to beef up your character in such a way that it's a more sort of let's say an ideal image of yourself, or in my case is the fact that if I'm staring at an image or whatever in a game for a long time, I'd like something pleasant to watch. So, I'll choose a female avatar and, dress her up or whatever. So, for example, my two games that I'm really working on right now is, of course, Langrisser Mobile. My favorite character that I like, and the style that I like the best is the character Sherry from Langrisser 2. And again, she has a really nice wedding outfit that I really, really like. Of the many, there's made that and swimsuit, kind of things that I really like. So again, those are skins that I'm perfectly willing to chase after and get. And so yeah, that's it. I like this kind of thing, so that's what I put into the thing. And it goes right to her point, right? If I want something visually appealing, that's what my monkey brain reacts to. So that's my thing. The other game I have, of course, I play a lot of is Pokemon Go. And if you look at my, my ready screens for Pokemon Go, the majority of my characters are female characters, right? Because again, those are the ones I play the most, and those are the ones that I, will be using. So I may as well have, the nicest character profile for that. And of course, Pokemon Go, what can you do, right? They don't have, it's gonna take eons upon eons before Nintendo decides, it will allow bathing suit skins or something like that. Or heaven forbid, put that into the game. Anyway, one can wish.
What's one thing that just makes you extremely upset and you can't explain why?
Honestly, this is probably gonna sound really bad, but it's when my boyfriend hangs out with his friends. I think one reason is definitely because I'm jealous of him, because he's had the same amazing group of friends since he was 5 years old. And I've never had a consistent group of friends, ever. And I know that it's normal for friends to change as you grow up, but his friends have always been the same, and I kind of wish that I had that, because even all through high school, I was one of those people who was in every single group and activity, so I was friends with everybody, but I never hung out with anybody.
So that's one of the things that everyone always asks me, is that if I, was able to, open my store again, and if one of the things I came up with, my old store is that I'm really happy to build the community that I did, because those connections and those friends that I've made, even after all this time has passed, even through all the fan subbing changes and all the things, anime changes and all that kind of stuff, technology changes and all that stuff, we've still remained as a nice tight group of people that we still get together to do some barbecues and celebrate birthdays, and very special events like weddings, and even I've attended various different funerals and that kind of stuff of various different people, because we are that kind of a community, right? And so even if we have to spend some time chatting on Zoom, or we play online games with each other, in competition or whatnot, as well as online chat, things like that. That group of friends, has remained consistent all the way, ever since I started, this entire journey going through anime and that kind of stuff. And that's one of the things, that came about through running the store, that I would, if I had to do it again, I wouldn't have changed it, right? That's one of the most treasured things that I would have to say that came out of that experience. And it's just, so the fact that, hey, maybe we play some games and that kind of stuff, and maybe we, do some crazy stuff together and whatnot. But, we were able to, get together and meet, on the occasional basis that we can in person, and we're able to pick up conversations and get right back into things, more or less, where we've left off sometimes. And that's just, the, I don't know if you say magic, or just, this incredible sort of, link or community that we've had, the memories, the shared experiences, it's all there. And, as I said, it's something very special. And I don't think any sort of, woman or anything that, should be able to come in there and interrupt that sort of thing. And as I said, most guys probably have this. Everyone keeps on pushing this, male loneliness epidemic and things like that. But no, I think truly, guys really have it relatively easy to be able to associate, especially, with other guys about things like sports, games, interests, consoles, computers, gaming, all that kind of stuff, is pretty common with most guys, and that's usually the link that sort of puts us together. And it just happens, in my little community, anime ended up being one of those key things. Sure, not everyone was 100%, like invested in that. Let's say maybe it's some people are 50% anime, and the other 50% in like Magic the Gathering, for example, or maybe some people are more interested in like Star Wars, Star Trek, and all the big sci-fi shows and that kind of stuff, like X-Files and Stargate SG-1, all that stuff. Maybe that they're in that group, but but even for example, like Johnny, right? He came in to our group, and he was more based off of like video games and that kind of stuff. But the anime came with it, and then all of a sudden that drew him in, and again, even to this date, most of these people, we keep in very good touch with each other. We all have our contact information. We see each other's posts and that kind of stuff, and comment and like. So it is something that is to be treasured and to be noted. And as I said, maybe the modern woman and nowadays doesn't realize that this still occurs, right? And as I said, maybe the Gen Zs and whatnot just don't interact the same way. And I think by having everything online and that kind of stuff, that's part of the reason why this lack of social interaction and social connection is just so important. So that's very important for people just to get out there, for God's sakes. All right, so I hope you really find that interesting. As I said, these are just sort of my opinions. I'm not sure, a lot of this stuff resonates with you as well. And I just wanted to point out some of the things that has happened to me, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, and I'm sure that many of you out there have similar situations. Okay, and I just want to put this out there and just say that, hey, just because your situation is this particular way, or this is somewhat unique to you, hey, don't relax. As you just said, there's other people that are just like you. All right, so I will catch you in the next video. All right, so until then, I will see you again.